So we have a lot of people who still want a front squat with their arms crossed like this, and it is still a front squat. Anytime the weight is in front of you, it is technically speaking a front squat, whether it's a goblet squat, whether I cross my arms, whether I hold on to the straps, however it may be. That being said, however, the best position for front squatting is the front rack position where my fingertips are on my shoulders like so. A lot of people complain that they don't have the wrist flexibility, and then they tend to stop after that statement. But they don't usually work on acquiring or building better wrist flexibility. I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit today and some of the things that you can work on and how to improve your wrist flexibility. One of my best and favorite stretches to acquire wrist flexibility, and you can do this on the wall or on the floor. I tend to like to use the floor because I'm very spiritual when it comes to weightlifting. We always want to make sure we're appeasing the weightlifting gods with our sets and reps, so on and so forth. My favorite is to kneel on the ground, turn both of my hands around like so, bring my hips forward, and with my hips forward, I'm going to then bend my elbows. Most people start to sit back first, but I like to get those elbows bent. When those elbows get bent, I start feeling that stretch through that forearm. Once the elbows are bent, then I start to sit back, keeping the heels pressed to the ground. The stretch that you feel is really intense right through here. I typically will do this for about 4 or 5 sets before I even try to front rack my barbell. It'll usually take somewhere between 10 minutes because I'll go through several other stretches in this process. The second exercise that I use to increase my wrist mobility before I front squat is I put my arms in the position that I like the most. From here, I'm going to take one of my arms, bring it under, and just hold it like that for a second or two. When I walk back out, I step back in with the other arm and bring my elbow up, holding that wrist position in here. If I don't have my fingers touching my shoulders, that's fine. When you first start this, you'll notice that sometimes, and you'll see me turn my hips sideways. Okay, my hips tend to turn when I do this. I'm trying to sneak under there like so, to almost fake it, right? Then I'll start to square those hips and shoulders up just with the one arm. When I square those shoulders up with the one arm, I can feel that stretch in the wrist pretty intensely. Again, just like so, and then I bring that other collarbone next to the barbell, trying to keep that elbow up. I'm just trying to stretch that wrist position. Now, it's not easy. It does hurt. It's not supposed to tickle. It's weightlifting. Get over it, all right? Your forearms will feel stretched to hell. The weight is resting on your shoulders, not in your hands. Your hands are just providing a wedge for the barbell to not fall off your shoulders if your elbows start to dip. Your elbows will dip as your thoracic rounding comes forward because the weight is where? In front of you. You want to keep your chest up and your elbows pointed up as best you can. When you first start becoming flexible, you'll notice that you're fine for about 2 or 3 reps, and then the pain in the forearms tends to be pretty unbearable. There's 2 things you can do. You can either rack it and go back to your cross front squat, or you can undo your hands and go right to the cross front squat right in mid-rep. That one's a bit more challenging, but it is the one that I prefer the most. One of the other things that really helps when doing front squats is your wrist wraps. You don't want to cinch them down as tightly as you would on, say, a bench press, but if you put them on the wrist and put them up a little high and snug them up just a little bit, it does tend to relieve some of that pressure. It is one of the things that I like to use when I am front squatting. And remember, we want to practice our exercise like it's a skill, not as a means to an end. Exercise should always be done as a skill and worked on training, not on intensity. Quality over quantity.